So I really like building with these new no-code AI coding tools that just use natural language to build entire apps for you. They've only been around for like 2 months, but in that time frame, I've built several apps and even sold one for $3,000. So today, I want to compare 2 of the best ones on the marketplace so you can build and sell your own AI apps fast. The 2 AI apps that are going to be fighting it out today before they start fighting us is bolt.new and lovable.dev. I'll be building the same exact project using the same exact prompts to see which one wins it out in the fight. I will score each app based on pricing, speed, design, improvements, feature set, and comprehension. So by the end of this video, you'll know which one is the best bang for your buck and will get you what you want to build the fastest. Let's build. All right, so I'm going to hop into my computer here and you'll see here that I got bolt.new open up and I also got lovable.dev. I already have an account on both. So if you don't have an account, all you have to do is sign up for an account and you can try it out for free. So what app am I going to build today? The app that I want to build today is basically taking a video and then transcribing that video and making like table of contents essentially for that video. And the reason why I want to do this is because I have a lot of content that I create and I want to be able to have a written format or a written version of that content underneath the video. So if it's on YouTube or Twitter or wherever I place that video, I want there to be a written blurb of exactly what that video entails, some extra descriptions and just extra context for the viewer. So I'm going to actually build that in bolt.new and Lovable. But before we actually build that project, I want to talk about pricing. So bolt.new pricing is as follows. So first of all, for $20 a month, you get 10 million tokens. For $50 a month, you get 26 million tokens. $100 a month, you get 55 million tokens. And for $200 a month, you'll get 120 million tokens. So what is a token? A token is essentially the currency that Bolt uses when it is actually outputting your code. So as you're talking to Bolt using natural language and you're trying to build that app, what amount of tokens did it require to create that code? Right? And the more messages that you provide Bolt, the more tokens that it's going to use. You can actually do a token reload instead of upgrading if you want by just clicking on token reload and then you can just put 20 bucks in and then you'll get another 10 million tokens depending on your budget. But obviously, if you're trying to build out a app, then you might want to stick to one of the paid plans. Personally, I'm on the pro plan just because I've been testing Bolt out a lot. So I am paying $200 a month, but I am, testing it out significantly. But for what we're doing, you'll probably just do a $20 a month plan and get away with following along with this particular video. Now, if you don't want to upgrade, Bolt does have a free plan. They don't really promote it here on the pricing page, but they do have a free plan. So with the free plan of Bolt, you'll get 100,000 tokens per day, which amounts to about 3 million tokens per month. So you just have to be sure that whatever you're building goes within that 100,000 token limit. Otherwise, you're going to have to upgrade. Now let's hop into Lovable just to see the difference between pricing. So if we go into Lovable, you'll see here that they also have a free plan. The free plan is 5 daily messages. So compared to Bolt, which gives you about 2 million tokens, they do messages. They don't do tokens. So if you're on the free plan, you're only going to be able to play around with Lovable for 5 messages, essentially, until you have to upgrade. Although this does reset every single day, so if you do 5 messages today, then it'll reset tomorrow and you'll get another 5 messages for free. However, if you're trying to really extensively play with these apps, then you are going to find out quickly that you will need to upgrade if you want to take it to the next level. Now, we'll see here that they do have a starter plan that's $20 a month. And if you click on this little eye icon, you can actually see how many messages you get. You get 100 messages per month. So you would really have to calculate, okay, how many messages per day can I send in order to, get something working? And 100 messages goes by really quickly, especially if your prompting skills are not that good, or if Lovable just doesn't do something correctly, then you have to kind of reprompt it and say, hey, like this didn't come out the way I wanted it. Please fix it. That counts as a message. So that would count towards your 100 messages per month limit. Now, after the $20 a month plan, it goes up to the $50 a month plan and you'll get 250 messages a month. So again, you just have to calculate and be very careful on the type of projects you're trying to build. If it's super complex, I probably would not use Lovable. I might use something else like Cursor, or I might use something like Windsurf. I probably would not use Lovable if I'm trying to build a really complex app. But if it's something simple like we're doing today, then it will be okay. And then after that, you'll go into the scale plan. And at $100 a month, you will be actually able to get 500 messages. And then you can see here it increases. So for $200 a month, 1,000 messages, and it goes all the way up to $900 per month for 5,000 messages. Now, depending on, again, like what you're trying to build, this starter plan might be okay. 100 messages might be okay, depending on how good Lovable is to create your projects. Now, compared to Bolt, you can see here that it's tokens versus messages. Now, I will say I have played extensively with Bolt, and you will use a lot of tokens, especially if you're trying to fix errors or if you're trying to create something a bit complex or have to rewrite the prompts, because sometimes it does do error loops where it's like, it says it can fix something, it says it fixes it, but it really didn't fix it. And then it's like using a bunch of tokens. They did recently release something called diff, which should reduce the amount of tokens that you use on your projects, because it essentially goes and finds the particular thing that needs to change versus rewriting the entire code, which will save you a bunch of tokens. Now, on the pricing scale structure, who wins this battle? I'm going to say Bolt wins this battle just because as a newbie or as someone who's just entering this type of AI coding scenarios, you want to be able to play around with it. You don't want to be limited by the number of messages that you can send, especially if you're just getting and having some fun and you don't really have a big project, but you just want to try it out. You won't really be able to do that on 5 messages per day, but we'll see how far we can take it on the 5 messages before we need to upgrade. But just out the gate, I would say Bolt wins on this just because you have more time to play with the tool and really get acclimated with the capabilities that it can provide. Now, let's actually start building a project. So let's exit out of here of the pricing on both of these. I'm just going to go back into Lovable and let's start building out the project. Now, again, I'm going to use the same exact prompt for both of these tools to see how they compare. It might be that Lovable can, create our app that we want to create in 5 messages. It might be that, but we're going to use the same prompt and see how it does. So let's go. I'm going to type it inside of Bolt and then paste it inside of Lovable, but let's just say I want to create an app where a user can upload a video like a MP4 or a link like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and when they do, there will be a button that allows them to click, and when they click, an action happens. And I'm going to say that action will be the button calls a webhook that we will provide at a later time. But for now, let's use test data. The test data is going to be, and I'm going to add one thing here. So when the user clicks, a new container with text will appear and the upload box will disappear. There will be a button that says upload new content, copy content, or edit content. And if we click on upload new content, we will go back to the uploader state. If we click on the copy content, so literally I'm just writing out my thoughts as I'm thinking about this. I thought it'd be helpful just to see like how I would think about this before like doing it beforehand. But basically I'm just like writing out what I want the app to do, the actions I want the app to do, and seeing how well it does by taking all of this information. Now, if you're actually building a real app and you have ideas and to take that app further than just, doing a YouTube tutorial like I am, then you definitely want to do more pre-planning, which will allow you, one, to save on tokens for Bolt and then messages for Lovable, and then also just give you a better shot at getting the app created in one shot, essentially. But for now, we're just going to do this. So if we click on the copy content, it will copy the content to the clipboard. If we click on edit content, it will allow the user to edit the content and update it, essentially. So for now, I'm going to say the test data will be replaced once I provide you with the actual webhook we are going to use. Because in this case, I'm actually going to use make.com to communicate with Bolt and Lovable. So right now, we're just going to say the test data will be replaced once I provide you with the actual webhook we are going to send. Is there anything else that I want to tell it? Yes. Keep in mind, this app should be modern, clean, aesthetic, keeping the focus of the app. Maybe use a purple, orange, black, and white color scheme. Okay, so let's keep it pretty clean for now. This is pretty detailed. Let's copy this, and I'm going to hop into Lovable and paste that inside a Lovable as well. So now let's actually test the speed of which they are able to build out these apps. So let's click on run here, and then I'm going to click on run here. So they look like they're both building it out. So let's see who builds it first. So it looks like Bolt is running the code here, which is nice. One thing about Lovable, it doesn't actually show you writing the code, whereas Bolt actually shows you writing the code, which is a nice little touch, just to like see that things are happening. It kind of reminds me of like the mirror philosophy. Okay, here it is. It's actually writing the code. Maybe it just took a little bit more time to think about the code. What's interesting is that it actually writes each folder separately. So I'll take that back. It does write it, but it's a bit different of how it composes everything than Bolt, which is okay. It's not a bad thing. They're still going. Bolt wins. Bolt won that one. Lovable still loading. Bolt was already done. But let's just see the style. So video content manager. We got the uploader. We got the URL for Lovable. And very similarly, we have, it says video content processor versus video content manager. So it's interesting that they use similar naming conventions here. But as far as the speed, it looks like Bolt won first. It designed it first. So let's see what it did. It explains everything it did, which is nice for us to kind of see. Did it make it responsive? Let's see. It did make it responsive. Did Lovable make it responsive as well? It did. Okay, nice. Okay, so now I would say Bolt wins on speed for this particular like first shot prompt. However, I actually like Lovable's design better than Bolt's, which is interesting because typically Bolt is seen as a tool that has really good front-end capabilities out the gate, but this feels a little flat to me. Whereas Lovable here added some nice detailing here with the shadow work here. That's nice. Okay, let's upload a fake file and let's just see if it did the other part as well. So I'm just going to find a video here that we can, and I mean, it's fake data, so it shouldn't do anything. So did upload it here. So your content is ready. Your process content is ready. So maybe I wasn't specific. Let's try it in Bolt here, and let's try the same thing here. Bolt did take into account my color scheme. I said I wanted to use white, purple, and black, and orange. Lovable did not do that. It just did white, which is interesting. Let's just copy this and just test it to see if the copy works. Okay, the copy works there. Let's test it. Copy works here. Okay, so we do have some test content here that we can, and let's say new upload. Boom. So let's just do that one more time. See if this worked. So if I do that it did the same thing. Okay. So this is pretty cool. I mean, they both did it the way I wanted it to, and the edit works and everything works. So this is looking pretty nice. So in terms of speed, Bolt definitely won because it was the first to output the code. However, I would say that the upload design is pretty nice for Lovable, but Lovable did not follow my instructions on like a purple, orange, black, and white color scheme, whereas Bolt did. But the uploader on Bolt is a bit wonky. It doesn't look that good. I'm going to say Lovable from a design perspective actually beat out Bolt for this, but Bolt definitely won on speed. So the next thing that we can test on is improvements. Okay, so because Lovable actually didn't follow the full color scheme that I wanted, let's just test it to see if it will add those elements. So I wanted the color scheme to be purple, orange, black, and white. Although the design is modern, it doesn't really include those colors. I want those colors included. Can you please add them? And now let's copy that and go into Bolt. And I'm going to change this prompt slightly, like very slightly, just because it did kind of include that on both sides. But instead of this, I'm going to say I wanted the design to be more modern on the uploader side. Can you please improve it? It's a little shorter than this, but I'm targeting a different thing. So in this case, the color scheme is a little bit off. And then in this case, the design is a little bit like it's just too flat for me here. So maybe I'll say that as well. The uploader is a bit flat to me and not modern. All right, let's see if it can improve that. So I'm going to do this prompt here and then go into Lovable and then do this prompt here and see who wins on the improvement side, just based off the message that I'm including here. All right, so it looks like Bolt was able to update it slightly to make it a little bit more modern. And it did do it a pretty good job, I will say. We can upload our video by clicking on here, and it says drag and drop your video file or click to browse MP4, MOV, AIV, or paste a video link, and we could paste the video link here. That's pretty awesome. Let's actually go back here and see if the improvements were made. Doesn't look like it changed anything. So it says, let's update the color scheme to incorporate purple, orange, black, and white colors by modifying the tailwind configuration and updating the existing component styling. So it says the color scheme has been updated to use purple, orange, black, and white throughout the application while maintaining the modern aesthetic. Let's just upload and see if it did it on the other page or like the other state. No. So it doesn't look like it updated the color scheme. It's still just using primarily purple, black, and white, but I don't see orange. Can we fix this? Let's click on refresh to see if it did anything. Okay, nothing. Okay, so honestly, improvements bolt.new wins. It's just like less going back and forth, and it's actually doing the things that I say, and it's understanding contextually what I'm saying. So I'm going to say for improvements, bolt.new. Now, the other thing, before we actually complete this mini app that we're building here, is I want to talk about the feature set. So the feature set that each of these tools have and how they compare. So let's actually hop into Lovable first, because they actually have quite a bit of features that Bolt does not have right now. So one feature that they have is a direct integration to Supabase. And Supabase is a database that you can essentially tie your front end, which is basically what we're building here, to a back end where you can store data. So if like, for example, if I was uploading this, I can store this into Supabase. So you can actually have a direct connection with Supabase, and you just click on connect Supabase, and then you'll be able to follow along that video, which is really nice because you can say like, once I upload a file, save it to this particular table, right? And that it makes it super easy to do that. Bolt.new does not have something like that. I know it's something in the works and it should make life a lot easier, but they don't have that functionality just yet. Lovable also has a direct connection to GitHub. Now, bolt.new, you can technically connect your account or your app to GitHub. If you do open in StackBlitz, you can save this to GitHub by doing create repository right here. But it's not directly inside of bolt.new, which is, it would be nice if you could just click a button and it's, it just goes there directly to GitHub versus opening it in StackBlitz and then creating a repository there. It's just less clicks, right? It would be nice if it was here. Whereas Lovable, you can connect your GitHub account and then boom, it's going to be connected, which is nice. And then the other thing that I like that they have, well, one, I really do like these project settings because you can rename the project. And bolt.new, you actually have to open the project in StackBlitz and then change the name here. So I would change the name to whatever I want, and then I would have to reopen it back inside of bolt.new, which is kind of cumbersome, to be honest. Like I should be able to just double click right here or right here and just change the name. So Lovable has definitely a one up when it comes to just the functionality within the actual app that you're building. So I would say Lovable for sure has that going for it. And then the other thing that's really, really powerful is this select thing. So if you select, you can actually change elements. So like, for example, if I select that and say, change this to say, upload video content, it's going to know to change this H2 to say, upload video content, or at least it should. I think, there you go. I was like, wait, it didn't do it, but there it goes. Okay, so yeah, the select feature, you can select particular things on the app and it makes it really easy for you to be like, hey, like change this thing versus using messages. It does still use a message technically, but versus you having to type it out, you can just use the select functionality, which is really powerful. In bolt.new, we do not have that. So you actually have to type all the time to, make the changes that you want versus like, okay, I want you to change this to a different text, right? You can't do that. And that would be really awesome if bolt.new had that, but it doesn't. And that is something that it is lacking. The other thing that Lovable has is the functionality, a little bit more techie, but it has the functionality to do edge functions inside of Supabase. It also has the functionality to do email sending directly from the app. So it uses resend connectivity to actually do that. And they also have some Stripe videos as well that you can actually build the Stripe integration directly with inside of Lovable. Bolt.new doesn't have that yet. So the winner for feature set is going to be Lovable. They just have a bit more of functionality for users to make it easier on them to not only interact with their databases and update them and delete stuff and create stuff, but also just overall functionality for like select, for example. That's a really powerful feature that I think would be beneficial for Bolt to implement versus me having to type it. And it also just saves on tokens, right? If we're able to select particular things, it will know directly within the app what to change versus going to the code, trying to find it, and then, using a lot of code if you're not using the diff functionality, which we talked about earlier. So I'm going to give Lovable the win here. So if you have been taking note, price, bolt.new is the winner there. Speed, bolt.new is the winner there. Design, lovable.dev is the winner there. Improvements, bolt.new is the winner there. And feature set, lovable.dev is the winner there. Now, it is important to note that every app is different. And I'm just showing an example just based off some simple prompting here. So some of these categories might differ for the app that you're building. So just take that into account. The last thing we're going to talk about is comprehension. So how well does each of these apps understand what I'm saying and then build what I'm saying? So for that, we're actually going to complete this app by using make.com and then making sure that when we upload a video file, it actually goes into Make, and then we get the text exactly where we want it inside the bolt or Lovable. So follow me back into Make. All right, so for this, what I'm going to do is click on create a new scenario. This should be a very simple setup, and I'm just going to go through this really fast. But if you want to see step-by-step on how you can do something like this, I have another video that showcases how I built and sold an AI app for $3,000 using bolt.new. Check that video out. So I hopped into Make and we built this automation out. So what's going to happen is when a user uploads a video or inserts a link, it's going to basically call make.com and it's going to do this webhook. Again, if you want to see a step-by-step video, make sure you go check out my other video that kind of breaks this down more. But what's happening is when I click on proceed, it's going to call this webhook. It's going to make a request to an API called Fast Saver API, which allows us to download video data. And then we're going to be able to get that video. We're going to then use assembly.ai, which is a free software that allows us to transcribe audio and video files. And then we're going to use Claude to then create a summary and then send that summary back into our app. So what we need to do is tell bolt.new and we need to tell Lovable that when a user inserts a URL here or uploads a video, that it calls this webhook. So I'm going to use this prompt in both Lovable and inside of Bolt. So when a user uploads a video link and clicks proceed, please call this webhook, which again is this webhook here. And then it says, and send the video upload into the webhook. You need to show the webhook response in the content section. Here is the example of how it will come back. So essentially I'm telling it, hey, this is what's going to happen. And when it does happen, this is what you need to look out for. And then lastly, I say this text will be the actual response. Once the webhook response comes back, change the state to show the response with the new generation copy edit buttons. So if we go back into Make real quick, you'll see here that I have the Claude model here. And I say, just please make a summary of this transcription. So again, it's using assembly.ai to create that transcription. And then here is how I want that response to come back. And I also say make sure that you properly format that text so that it doesn't break if I were to put it inside of an app. So we're going to run this both in Bolt, and I'm going to copy this, and then I'm also going to run this inside of Lovable, and we're going to just see what happens. So I'm going to hit both and run it. Actually, for this video, I'm going to use a YouTube video that I created, and you guys could check out this video as well, but we're just going to use this video for the URL link here. So let's take a look. It looks like Bolt's done. It says, I'll help you integrate the webhook into the application. I'll update the API utility. And then it says some other stuff down here. Let's check out Lovable and see if it did it. Okay, so it looks like it both did it. So let's just enter the URL here and click on process. And we ran into an error, so we can check that. Let's check Lovable to see if it ran into an error as well. And actually, let's go back, because what I need to do is I actually need to click on this. So I need to turn this on. That would actually probably, not throw us errors. So I'm going to click on delete old data. I'm going to click delete. And now we should be good to go. So I'm going to try this one more time. I'm going to just refresh this inside of Bolt. I'm going to click new upload for Lovable, and I'm going to click on here, process, and then I'm going to click on here, process, and it says processing, and this says processing your content. So now what's happening inside of Make is it's running through these different modules here. So it called the webhook. It is making that request to Fast Saver, and then it's going to download the video essentially, and then upload that video inside of Assembly, transcribe that video inside of Assembly, wait until that transcription is ready, and then send it into Claude to actually create a summary of what that video is talking about. So the video, again, that I uploaded was that YouTube video that you saw prior, and now it's doing that process, and it should send us and show us that text content when it is done processing, unless it throws us an error. So this is still processing. We'll let it process, and then we'll be right back. We're back. So it looks like it did actually create the summary for us here. So in Lovable, we got the summary here. It says your process content is ready. We have the summary of the video and kind of just walking through everything that happens in that video. I can click on copy, and this should copy to the clipboard. Let's test that. Yeah, that looks like it worked well. Nice. Okay. And we can also click on edit, and we should be able to edit this as well. And I click on save, and that should save. All right, let's try this in Bolt. So let's actually click on copy first, because it did the same thing as well. So it says app concept, tools used. Nice. So let's paste that. All right, the paste is working. Let's click on edit content and click on save changes. So honestly, for comprehension, they both did a pretty good job as far as the instructions were going. I just said, when the user uploads that video, call that webhook and then do that entire process. And it did it using the same prompt. So for comprehension, I'm going to say it's a tie. I think it's a tie. I think they both did really well in understanding of what I wanted to happen. And it did exactly what I wanted to happen. So they win. They both win. So if we are keeping score, let's go back to what we were initially scoring each app on. Pricing, bolt.new won on the pricing. Speed, bolt.new won on the speed. Design, lovable won on the design. Improvements, bolt.new did win on the improvement side. And then feature set, lovable.dev did win on the feature set. But comprehension, it's a tie. So if we're looking at it from all criteria, bolt.new wins just based off the scoring system. But both tools will allow you to build cool micro apps like I just showcased. However, when it comes to affordability, I do think that bolt.new is the best bang for your buck when it comes to building out these micro apps the fastest way possible. Make sure that you click the link down below, which will lead you to my cohort sign up page. There's a waitlist. I'm not sure when it's going to launch or even the details. I just want to see if there's people who are interested in this particular topic. So all you have to do is click the link into your email and then you'll be on the waitlist. If you want to see how I built and sold a micro app for $3,000, then click this video right here. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. Keep building.